Hey there, I'm Sir Wade, and it's been a minute since I posted a video, but I'm excited to be back, making videos again, and this is one I'm very excited about. Something you probably already know is that animation is not easy. It's challenging, it's difficult, it's time-consuming, it can be a huge pain, but it can also be really rewarding. Now, what does not make it any easier are the many questions that you probably have, things that I've wondered, things that everybody has struggled with. And there are answers to those questions. They're kind of hard to find sometimes, but that's what we're gonna do today. We are going to answer those questions. I've got 10 different things that I remember struggling with as I was learning animation, things that I wish I knew sooner, and 10 questions that came from our community, things that you guys are struggling with, things that we've all dealt with that I just figured, let's put it all in one video. Let's save a ton of time here, and let's just share as much stuff as I can, as quickly as I can, so that you don't have to wonder anymore about these things. So, sound good? Cool. Two quick things before we dive in. I'm doing another Maya for Animators workshop, so if you're interested in learning Maya and all that it can do, link below if you want to check it out. And also a big thank you to the sponsor of this video, Autodesk, which is the company that makes Maya, which works out really well. They wanted to support the channel, and they thought that this video would be a nice one that would help a lot of people out there. And if you haven't already downloaded Maya, if you're not already animating in Maya, you can grab it for free. If you're a student, there's an educational license. It's completely unlocked. There's nothing you can't do. People ask that a lot. Or if you're no longer a student and can't grab that version, there's the Maya Indie license, which is less than $300, and that's what I've had for years. It's way more affordable than commercial Maya. Links below to all that, and now let's jump in. If I'm animating pose to pose or a step to key workflow, how come my shot just turns awful every time I hit spline? I feel like I have to redo everything all over again. This is a super common issue. The main problem is that you just don't have enough keys or information in your shot to hold it together. If you have only a couple keys every now and then, a couple poses here and there, once you hit spline, you end up with a lot of interpolation in between that the computer's just gonna kind of smoothly go between. So you're gonna end up with a very swimmy, floaty mess of stuff. Poses that don't really hold and motions that don't really feel like anything because you haven't put enough detail in there. You need to put way, way, way more keys in there. The overshoots, the anticipations, the breakdown, the keys themselves, the holds, all that stuff needs to be put in there so that when you hit spline, the shot doesn't really change, it just gets a little bit smoother. Does that make sense? That's what you're aiming for. Characters have a lot of controls. Which ones am I supposed to be using when I animate? I'll need to do a follow-up video on this probably to show you more in depth, but there were always two answers I got to this question. The first was kind of a catch-all answer, which is in general, you want to use as few controls as possible when you're starting off, when you're blocking. You don't want to get, caught up in the fingers and all the many little intricate controls when you're just trying to get the main idea of your shot blocked out. But beyond that, what controls are you blocking with? That was my question that never really got an answer. It depends on the rig and the character that you're using. There's not like one cookie cutter answer for all the characters, but the thing to look at to find your answer is look at every single control on the character and just start kind of playing with it and messing with it before you start animating. You need to understand how the rig works, but at the very least, like what every control does. Play with them all so you understand. You will probably find that in most characters' torsos, for example, there's a lot of controls there. That's where I always had the big question of like, what am I supposed to use? There's often an FK set of controls and an IK set of controls. If you haven't watched my videos on FK and IK arms, check those out. That'll help, but that applies to the torso too. There are different sets of controls that you might want to use both for certain things, but you also might just want to stick with one set for your basic poses. It'll make your life a little bit easier deciding up front which ones you're going to use. If you want a full video on this topic, let me know down below. So if the camera only sees this much, do I have to animate everything that the camera can't see, like the feet? If you're animating for games and you're going to see the whole character, there's nowhere really to hide. But if you are doing something where the camera only sees a certain portion of the character, in theory, yeah, you don't have to animate the stuff that's off screen. However, in my case, this framing right here, my hips are below the frame. That doesn't mean I shouldn't animate the hips, because if I move my hips, you can see how that impacts my torso. If I shift my weight, the cog might be below the camera. I still need to move that stuff to make it feel like I'm not just stuck here. You don't want it to just move above this point like I'm locked in place. You still need to consider this stuff that's down below the camera. So no, you don't have to animate the stuff that the camera can't see unless it's going to affect the stuff that is there. So the decision is made on impact, not on laziness. What is a production pipeline and how does it work and why do I care? All a pipeline is the path that data needs to go to get passed along different departments to have different things on the assembly line added to it. A model is going to need to get textured, it's going to need to get rigged. That data may go to cycles or crowds or effects or character effects for simulations and so on. The pipeline is just the flow of data through whatever studio you're working at. When you're working by yourself, it's all about what the camera can see. So it's not that big of a deal. You can just do whatever you need to do to make your demo reel shine. But once you start to work with others on a team or on a bigger project, organization is important. The quality of the data can be a thing in terms of, the models need to have a certain edge flow. You need to have made the stuff that you're doing so that it's compatible with later departments. So there's a certain amount of understanding of adjacent departments and communication between those different job roles that becomes very valuable. If you're in school or you're working your way to a job, learning about the adjacent departments is the best thing you can be doing. That way you are ready to start implementing pipeline stuff when the day comes. So I want to put like a glass of water or like wine in my shot, something with liquid. Should I simulate that? Or should I do hair, cloth? Should I do simulation for those things? Unless you're going for an effects job, don't worry about it. And if you are going for an effects job, don't animate and then do the effects and try to make it all like one big shot. You should probably just do animation and then you should do effects separately. More than likely, if you are asking this question, it's at a stage where you shouldn't be worrying about simulations of hair and cloth and water. If I were going to put water in this little water cup here, I would not do a fluid simulation to get all that motion. I would just put like a cylinder in there, and then, you know, there's some different deformers and stuff you can do to basically just put a key on the geometry and you can just rotate it. And it'll look close enough. You throw a transparent shader on it, it's fine. If you want to know more about that kind of stuff, you can check out my Maya workshop. But no, you should not be worrying about cloth and hair and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean you shouldn't learn that stuff, but if you want to learn it on its own. Don't try to crowd your work with a bunch of experiments. When I make my demo reel or portfolio, shouldn't everything be made by me? Wouldn't that be great if I like made all the characters and all the rigs and all the environments I model? Like if I do everything on screen, that's good, right? Please do not do that. It is not as impressive as you think to have made everything in the demo reel, because chances are you're not good at everything. Sorry, none of us are. If you are going for, say, an animation position, then don't make your character. Don't model and texture and rig your character, because if you don't do that great of a job, you're gonna have a really hard time making the animation actually good with a bad rig that's unappealing from the start. Allow other people to shine at what they're good at so that you can do your best of what you want to be doing. There's nothing wrong with downloading environments and assets and characters and all that kind of stuff, and then animating within that. That's how it's gonna work at a studio. You don't get hired to Pixar and then do everything yourself. You are a part of a team. And even if you work at a smaller studio where you might wear more hats, you're still welcome to do that. But don't try to take it upon yourself to do everything on screen unless it's just for fun. If you do that though, it's probably not gonna be a demo reel piece, because most people just aren't hireable for every different hat that you might wear. When should I start applying for jobs? Like, when am I ready to get hired? There's nothing wrong with applying for a job as long as you're professional and you're polite and you're not annoying about it. Feel free to apply whenever you feel like you want to give it a shot. But don't get so focused and fixated on getting a job and getting hired when you should be focused on getting better and actually getting good at the thing you want to be hired to do. The issue is when people are focused so heavily on submitting their application and updating their demo reel, and they're trying to, network and all that kind of stuff. All that energy should just go towards making new shots and then just updating your work and then resubmitting after a little bit of time has passed and you feel like you've updated your reel to something fresh and new that best reflects your work. Here's a good kind of litmus test here. If you feel like you have to explain anything on your demo reel, any shot that you have to be like, okay, well, so in this shot, what I was thinking, you've already lost that one. That shot needs to be replaced. Everyone is always so eager to like, I just want to get a job, I need to get hired. Yeah, the best thing you can do is not to focus on the application process, it's just make your work better. All the job applications say that a degree is required. Is that true? Do I need a degree to be an animator? A lot of parents worry about this one. You don't need a degree to be an animator. It's about the demo reel, it's about the work. Can you do the job? My job at DreamWorks required a degree on paper. I dropped out of school. I didn't finish college. I didn't have a degree. And in my resume, I said that I was a computer science major, but I didn't put a degree. And when I was asked about it in my interview, I said, yeah, I was the major and I went for this long and I did these classes, but I didn't graduate. I don't have a degree. And they said, okay, cool. The experience was useful to them. That did matter in my resume that I had the experience, but again, it's experience. It's not about the certificate, the piece of paper. No one cares. Can you do the job? But because I will not be responsible for anybody's choices here, these are my opinions, you make your own minds. The other thing I do need to say is, as a US citizen who works in the US, I don't have to worry about visas. So degrees really don't mean anything to me. But if you are an international artist and you want to work in the US or in another country, getting a work visa can be tricky. I am aware of how awful that system can be, and degrees may or may not help with that process. Where should I go to school for animation? This is one that I have to be very careful answering. I have a lot to say about schools, and I have a video that I've been wanting to make that I have to involve my lawyer in to make sure I don't get in trouble. Your animation education is extremely important. Going to a specific college, school, or university, not as important, because again, the degrees don't matter. It's about what you learn and what you can do. A lot of schools, in my opinion, charge a lot of money and give you next to nothing. I know a lot of people who have gone to certain schools and they've finished it and they have crazy debt and they go, well, that was a waste. If I could go back and do it again, I would not do that. I would go here, or I would do this, or I would XYZ. Because I don't want to comment on the specifics of that, what I will say is there are a lot of great schools. The ones I recommend are some great online schools. Animation Mentor is great. Animation Collaborative is great. NMC. I have links to those down below. If you go to Animation Mentor, by the way, tell them I sent you. We have a referral thing. Thank you. But it's not really important where you go to school. It's just that you learn what you need to learn and that you can apply that stuff in your work. So my advice to you is to think very critically about how much you are putting in and what you are getting back. Find people who went to that school and ask them once they've finished how they liked it, if it was worth it. Do they have any friends that you can talk to? Do you have a group of them that you can all kind of chat and get their thoughts? Because you are going to hear a much more honest perspective from people who have gone through it than from the marketing teams at these major colleges. Or, click my link and check out my workshops because they are good. So at what point do I need to move to LA or Vancouver? Like where all the jobs are, do I need to move there to get hired? So I'm from Southern California originally. I grew up not far from LA. And years ago, when I decided I'm going to move into LA, it was very much that thing of like, I'm going to move into LA where animation is. I'm going to be, networking events and conventions. I'm going to go to coffee shops. I'm going to find drawing things and I'm going to meet animators and artists and I'll be part of this community and it'll be so easy. I'll get a job. I'll immerse myself in the culture. That was the thought. And none of that happened. Absolutely none of it. Artists don't go outside. Everyone stays inside. No one goes out and socializes. Are you kidding? Moving to LA or any city to be where the jobs are is generally not a very good idea because it's expensive. It will drain your account way more than you think it will. You have to save up 3 to 5 times more than you think you do, and then it will drain that in half the time that you expected it to. You can apply from anywhere, and you can save a lot of money usually by doing that. Something that can be nice is some studios will offer relocation benefits. If they want you to work at a certain place, sometimes they will help you move and they'll pay your way. That is less likely if you are very new to the industry. It's probably not gonna happen compared to someone who's a lot more established and really desirable and say, whatever it takes to get you out here, we want you. Kind of depends. You're also not supposed to be able to discriminate on hiring practices based on location, because in theory, anybody could show up for work. I have witnessed things that allegedly would not be in line with that. So my recommendation is if you have a resume or something, don't put your address, don't put your location, just apply to the jobs and see where the conversation goes. And if someone says, hey, like the job is here in person in 2 weeks, can you be here? Then hopefully your answer is yes. That's all there is to it. So those are 10 questions that we've all had. Now, rapid fire for 10 more things that I wish I knew sooner. Let's do this quickly because this video is longer than I thought it would be. Speed is not a good thing when it comes to school. That doesn't mean you shouldn't animate fast if you can. Like, sure, like speed is important at the job, but rushing through school to get to the job is a terrible idea. I did that. I had the idea, like normal school, like, okay, I don't want to get held back. I don't want to get stuck. I just want to move through the thing as fast as possible. If I finish this course in 18 months, then I get a job in 18 months. That's not how this works. Animation is not like normal things. You do have to take the time to make sure you understand the material, and so rushing through for speed is not going to help anybody. Take your time, learn what you need to, retake classes if you have to, redo workshops that you didn't really get the handle of. The only person you're in competition with is yourself. So give yourself your best chance and take your time, really absorb and apply every single thing you learn. If you don't heed this warning, you will end up just struggling way more than you have to, and you'll realize that the solution is to just go back and redo it anyways. So just save yourself the time and the heartache and just take your time, learn the stuff. My assignments were always due Sunday morning at noon, and come Friday afternoon, it's go time. I have not touched it all week. Friday afternoon, into the night, all day Saturday, no breaks, no naps, no food, just keep working all night Saturday night and submit 3 minutes before the deadline. That's a horrible way to do it. Don't do that. If you are like me in that way, stop it. Procrastination is not helping you. I promise you, it's not. You may think, like I thought, that working under pressure, it really gets it. Like, no, it's just not good, because you'll look at it 3 days later and go, oh, that's not very good. After you've stepped away from a little bit, you will realize how much is lacking. You need to work on it and then step back and look back at it with fresh eyes and go, ooh, I didn't notice that. You can't do that if you rush everything to the last minute. Because you have to remember, again, finishing the assignment on time is not the goal. Making good animation, a performance, mechanics, all the stuff that goes into animation, that's the goal, not just finishing it on time. So procrastination will not serve the main purpose of what you're doing. It's just gonna make you frustrated, and you're gonna end up getting a lot of feedback that you're like, yeah, I know that feedback, I can see it too. Well, then why didn't you deal with it? Because you didn't give it enough time to give yourself the time to deal with it, so stop it. On that note, you can't just check the boxes for your assignments. You can't just say, okay, I did a walk cycle, done. Bouncing ball, done. Pendulum, done. Your assignments are not modules that you check off and you move on and you never look back. If you do the bouncing ball, do it again. Do it 3 times. Do it at different weights. Do it with different sized objects. You can do that because if you're in school and you need to go to the next assignment, sure. Revisit it when you get a chance. Take your time and go back and do it a couple of times to make sure you actually understood it. Walk cycles will continue to haunt you for all time. No one likes them. You should do a couple of them, not just the one. To go back to the earlier question of when are you ready for a job, if you've only ever done 1 bouncing ball, 1 walk cycle, 1 character walk cycle, it's like a sneak or something, you're probably not ready for a job. Make sure you understand them all and make them more than just an assignment. Make it feel personal and interesting and come up with something cool to do to make them more fun. I know they're boring. Make them more fun. You may ask, but how do I do that? The next thing is planning. It is not a suggestion. Thumbnailing or reference or whatever your workflow is or whatever person you have, a mentor, a teacher, or my videos, doesn't matter if it's a person or not, whatever you have been taught to do planning wise, do it. Commit yourself to it and spend some time really focusing on it. It's not just a thing that you do and then you say you've done, it's creating a roadmap. You are actually trying to plan out your shot and get an understanding of how you're going to tackle this. Where are the keys? What are the poses? How long are things gonna hold? What's the timing gonna feel like? That's planning, not just, I did some doodles with stick figures, all right, done. Because everybody wants to skip that stuff and get to the fancy stuff. Big flashy shots are not gonna help you stand out. They're going to highlight how little you know. The first shot I ever tried to really do, I didn't get anywhere on it. I tried to model an entire city block and import all these characters I downloaded from the internet. I was gonna do a big fight scene. I had never animated anything before. I was not ready for it, and I didn't set more than like 2 keys. I gave up. If I had continued trying to do this to impress people, I wouldn't have impressed anybody. Small assignments sound more boring, but they are more fun, they're easier to complete, you will learn a lot more from them, and they are more useful because they're little things that you can sprinkle into your demo reel versus spending months. If you're like, oh, okay, I made this big thing for demo reel, it took me 6 months. Okay, so if you need to do another shot, you're gonna spend another 6 months on another giant shot that you're gonna then replace it or tack on at the end. Like, no, do lots of little things so you can grow faster and you can apply that to the bigger shot when it comes time. I mean, really challenge yourself to make something that's 30 frames long, 50 frames long, less than 100 frames. Don't let it get long and unmanageable. Keep it short. Something that'll work really well with that is to try new workflows. I have an entire video with 7 different workflows. Try them all. Give it a shot. It'll help you find out what works for you and tell you more about how you think when you animate. Don't jump too far ahead skill-wise and expect to make something good. I'm not saying don't try it. Feel free. Make whatever you want to make, but try to keep the stuff that you're making a manageable amount of time spent on these projects. That way, if you do want to try something, you don't bite off more than you can chew so that you have to give up and go, oh yeah, well, I wasted a month and a half making something that never even got finished. Make stuff that, you know, if you are going to jump ahead, you can finish it. And if it is something super above your abilities, just don't expect it to be a demo reel piece. Make it for fun, make it for you, make it because you want to, but just don't make it all about getting hired based on this one thing. And remember, you aren't aiming for exact realism, but entertaining believability. Stylization is what makes it fun to watch, but it's not something that you can use to hide bad posing or a lack of mechanics behind. At the end of the day, animation should hopefully be fun. You should only be doing this if you enjoy it. It's one of those jobs that you can't just do because you think it'd be a good idea. You have to actually really want to do it, and you have to like it, you have to love it because it takes so much. Animation is a creative, technical, and time-consuming job, and you have to treat it like one. It requires research and planning and long hours to make it, and it helps to understand other crafts that will come with time and practice, but acting, anatomy, art, filmmaking, physics, psychology, all that kind of stuff is going to play into animation. The entire point is to replicate or simulate life in a way that's entertaining and believable and fun to watch and interesting to behold. And you can't do that unless you are experiencing some life and you have stuff to put into your work. But it is work and it takes time. And if you are animating here and there and you're, procrastinating and then you're doing it at the last minute, it's just not going to reward you in the way that you want. So if you are trying to get hired and get a job, you have to treat it like a job. Because when you get hired, you're going to be doing it 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, probably minimum most places. And a lot of people tend to forget that when they're starting out. But I hope this video helped. Bookmark it if you need to come back to it. If you feel like you're gonna need a reminder of these things, send it to a friend who needs to hear these things as well. Keep each other accountable. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. Also a link below to my Maya for Animators class. If you wanna learn Maya from me and all the things it can do, it's a very good class. I'm very proud of it, and a lot of people have great things to say. There's reviews on that page, so you can check it out. Lastly, a big thanks to our sponsor, Autodesk. Thank you for sponsoring this video. They picked it because they thought it'd be helpful, and I sincerely hope that it was. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.